Ric Flair, Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole. I feel like my four fingers are going to stay here. Welcome to another episode of The Chop Shop, brought to you by Buckabomb Entertainment and in association with Blue Wire Hustle Network. Introducing first, hailing from Luton, United Kingdom, he is the one Walshmeister, Luke Anthony Walsh. Bada bing, bada boom. How are we all doing? A full house for you once again. It's been a busy week, and we've got them all firing here. He is the JFB. It's James from Boston. He's introducing next. He is, unfortunately, your current Buckabomb trivia champion, Daniel McKee.
DMC McGrizzle, the champ.
Cheers, everybody.
Let's see how long that lasts. And finally, Orlando Orega. How you guys doing? Let's jump straight into it. Where do we even begin? Are WWE starting an apocalypse?
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like that's what it is. I don't know.
So let's start with, I guess, the biggest news of the week. Bray Wyatt is now released from the company due to alleged budget cuts. Now, everyone was left speechless on Saturday afternoon, when that news came through. One of the greatest characters, wrestlers, promos of the last decade, hands down. And they just let it slip, and it's so sad to see.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's been a character like that in 10, 15 years, and he's gone off the face of the earth for right now.
Well, not from the face of the earth. I mean, he's at home with his current girlfriend and his children. So, yeah, I mean,
I don't know. It takes a real special character and a special person to be able to walk the line when it comes to any kind of supernatural or anything that's kind of creepy or like a horror vibe or anything like that. Because if you're not pulling it off, it's really lame. But obviously he does that. And what's unfortunate is that he won't be able to take the history of what he's done for wrestling where he goes 100%. I mean, he'll be able to call it something else and, make references to it. But this is a huge bummer for me. He is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He's one of the reasons I got back into wrestling, and I'm very upset about this. But hey, I'm sure there's positive on the other side.
Yeah. The thing is about Wyndham Rotunda is that in the last 2 or 3 years alone, with what he's created with the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse, was art in motion. Like, yes, it divided fans, and even in his last match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, that divided fans' opinion as to the lore of the Fiend going forward. It was just great. It was exciting viewing. It is what I watched Raw for, because every Firefly Funhouse moment, every moment with the match, it was much watch, character storytelling. And WWE in the last 5 or 6 years, with a certain baddest woman on the planet, we'll come onto her in a little bit, has become more athletically based. We are seeing Drew McIntyre as the champ, Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley, you name it. They are physically built, and it's more the athleticism. But what we saw with Bray Wyatt and the way he would produce himself on television, it was just superb. And week after week, it was just had to be seen. And James, I think you'll agree with me when I say this. We'll always have the Firefly Funhouse match.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, psychologically, he was probably one of the best wrestlers since, I forgot his name, Dan Spivey's character that he played in WWE.
Waylon Mercy.
Yeah, Waylon Mercy. So, I mean, you had that psychological aspect to this wrestler like Jake the Snake, Waylon Mercy, and then you get out of that for so many years, and then here comes Bray Wyatt, who doesn't ride on his dad or his grandfather's coattails, comes in with an original character reinvents it, and now he's going to take it somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with everybody here because the thing is just that if you notice with Bray Wyatt, he does think about storylines and long-term storylines because there's a lot of feuds that he has done where he helps some of the wrestlers change. Like look at what happened with Seth Rollins. He turned heel. What happened to Daniel Bryan? He went back to his old gimmick, like as the what was it called? The Dragon? The rest I forgot what was his name in the indie. There you go, the American Dragon. He has changed a lot of people. So and also a lot of people probably didn't like some of his matches because I don't know because if WWE took it, that's the problem. They kind of really ramped up on it, like with the red light. I didn't like that. I didn't like certain matches that they did where it didn't help with his character.
Yeah.
I mean, like for me, he was thinking like probably 20 steps ahead, but WWE was taking him back 15.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they ever did it in the first place, honestly. I mean, like you have a character that's that well thought out and everything is constantly building on itself. And I'm proud of them actually for giving it a shot. Yeah. I'm not surprised that they messed it up. But what's even more interesting is that like he's changed so many people that their characters are still different. Seth Rollins hasn't been the same since then. Finn Balor hasn't been the same since he went back to Prince Devitt character. So I mean, like even long after he's gone, until they change those characters, his effects will still be felt on the WWE.
Yeah,
absolutely. And again, we'll talk about Alexa Bliss a little bit later on when we go over Raw. One hell of a night in Chicago, that's for sure.
Also, that
thing I do want to touch upon when talking about Bray Wyatt, and certainly this could sort of lead into our next discussion as to what's next. His tag team with Matt Hardy, the way that the lesion and the way that those two came together was just superb. Considering how both at the time were two incredibly great characters, but they weren't too sure how to book either one, but put them together, and it was magical.
Yeah, of course. But it's just like when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, that's where it affects. Like for me, if they would have just allowed Bray and Matt to do the thing, even Bray by himself, like if he wants to have like another writer, just one more writer, just not so many people trying to produce everything. Look what happened in the Firefly Funhouse at WrestleMania when it was him versus John Cena. They only had like 3 people helping out. So which that really everybody was talking about that match. I mean, everybody says it's not a match; it's just a cinematic type of like movie in a sense, which was, but people were talking about it because like it helped. Like, and he did a lot of references of John Cena because he went back through John Cena's history, which you're supposed to do because we as wrestling fans, if we watch for like 20, 30, 40 years, we like to have some references from the past. From certain wrestlers,
It makes more sense now that how they didn't reference anything from John Cena just magically appearing again, like that match never happened, or match, even if you want to put it in quotes. So this is
right.
Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I want to read something though. I want to read something because my friend just sent me the tweet from Rambly Rabbit. He puts WWE, no, not Bray Wyatt, at Bray Wyatt, and then says, hey, at Vince McMahon. I quit, dude.
Dude. To be honest, Orlando, I don't think it was a match. It was a masterpiece. It was just considering that, especially where we were at the start of the pandemic as well. That whole WrestleMania 2-night weekend, watching a match like that was our vaccine. That was for wrestling fans. Was our okay. The world is on fire. But let's let the world burn alive and let us watch some stupid character assassination. It was such good shit. It was such good shit.
We earned it.
Yeah, we did. I'm sorry, but it's just, to me that always keeps a place in my heart, that match, because I love that match because it was something different. It was very unique, and it's just like it helped both Bray Wyatt and John Cena. I think what the problem was is just that I think Bray Wyatt character, the Fiend, was not supposed to be supernatural. It was supposed to be like a serial killer.
Yeah.
So I think that's when you put like magical elements and put like supernatural type of things, then that's what it gets like, oh, I don't get this. Why are you doing this? It's just like, it doesn't work.
Well, it muddies it up is what it does. excuse me. I mean, it's bad storytelling on the part of the producers who produced that product. You know,
Mhm.
whoever the backstage producer was and whoever the agent was for that match. Yeah, I mean, they took kind of the shine off of Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and just made him Bray Wyatt, kind of a crazy, you know, time machine guy.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. Orlando, I do want to put this to you sort of as a good segue into what's next. You are AEW guy, certainly for Buckle Bomb. A lot of people speculating Bray goes to AEW and joins Dark Order. Does that make sense?
Actually, no. Actually, I would like him to face the Dark Order because, like, to right now, the Dark Order is not what it was back a year and a half ago, 2 years. They're not like that, like cult type of like group. I mean, Bray could probably come in and change them and put them back to how they were, like how he was like when he was the Fiend, or I mean, he could just like destroy them because, like, I mean, you know, we could go bring up, you know, Brody Lee, you know.
Yeah.
It would be sort of poetic to have Bray Wyatt take over from Brody Lee's sort of legacy in the Dark Order, and sort of that's how it comes full circle. And you know, it'd be nice to see, but you know, AEW's for a different podcast for a different day. That's a different book, and we're here to talk the big dub. And well, from one drop ball to another, the 16-time world champion has left WWE. Ric Flair has left WWE after his legend deal. In a statement on Twitter, he said, "I'm officially able to respond to all the press related to my requested release from WWE, which they have given me. I want to make it really clear with everyone that I'm not upset with WWE at all. They are solely responsible for putting me in the position of life that I'm in right now, where I've seen in the brightest light ever. We have a different vision for my future. I wish him nothing but continued success. Thank you for everything, nothing but respect." I mean, it's another Ric Flair shoot, isn't it? Of course, Ric Flair's frustrated with booking because the last time we saw him on screen, they were putting him in with Lacey Evans against his own daughter.
Yep.
Yeah. I think maybe that was the issue with him. I think maybe he didn't like the booking of his daughter. I mean, like, I mean, but the thing is just that she's always in the title picture. So it's just like, you're going to annoy fans with that as well. So it's just like, I don't know.
Did you all catch WWE, or I guess the USA Network, aired a commercial with Ric Flair and Peter Avalon in the same commercial?
Yeah.
They've been
during the
airing
first
that,
hour of Raw.
Yeah.
But they've been airing that type of commercial. He's been in those type of commercials. I think WWE probably stopped airing the ones with the AEW wrestlers. That's why LA Knight was in the other one. So
I found it interesting that of all days we saw that very commercial last night.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
You think he's bound? You think he's AEW?
I'm sure he'll show up at some point. I don't know if he'll get signed.
Guys, can you hear that? I can hear horses. I can hear horses coming from Jacksonville. They've got arms, they've got Tully. I mean, come on, it's there.
He's got coconuts.
He's an ambassador to professional wrestling, and that's the role he needs to have. Is he needs to be an ambassador for professional wrestling because he is a GOAT. You know, some people would say it's Hogan. I personally think it's Ric Flair. I think he's the perfect ambassador for professional wrestling, for the future of it, you know, because that's going to be a huge loss if and when he passes away. That's going to be an absolutely devastating loss to professional wrestling.
And I hope maybe his grandchildren will continue on wrestling, because I know Charlotte's already about to, you know, I don't know how much longer she's going to stay, but I'd like to see maybe one of his grandchildren, like maybe a grandson or another granddaughter, you know, continue on the Flair name.
You imagine the child of Andrade and Charlotte Flair.
Holy cow.
Oh
my God.
Yes. I want it.
I mean, even Charlotte in herself, I mean, obviously with her husband being in the other company and, you know, her dad could follow suit. I mean, could that even draw her away from WWE?
Now, mind you, they did do a report that Andrade and Charlotte filed trademark certain names. They trademarked Ashley Flair as well as Andrade El Idolo. So I think she's getting prepared. I mean, I don't think WWE is going to release her because she is the biggest name that they have. She's one of the biggest names. So they're not going to get rid of her. They'll probably push it to the moon. They'll probably give her a good extended type of contract, things like that. But they're not gonna let her go.
They weren't going to let the Fiend go. Let's face it, for roughly the same reason. They were just as bigger stars. They were merchandise. There were characters you could build up. Nothing is impossible with WWE. And I'm going to use this as a segue to the next name I brought up. Of course, the American Dragon himself, the one of the best in modern history, Daniel Bryan. I know this sort of slightly old news, but it all ties together. It comes closer to Daniel Bryan leaving WWE and moving on to AEW. I mean,
well, actually, he has. It looks like. I mean, he hasn't resigned. I mean, they stopped selling his merch.
Yeah,
they stopped putting him on the game. So I mean, he's gonna be bound in the next month.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, with Rampage and All Out fast approaching as well. So,
oh my God, I'm so excited! For me, it's just like I just love when crowds get like great reactions. Like I loved SmackDown last Friday because the crowd was really invested in the match. I know it was kind of like meh because it was like same booking, but the fans were invested last Friday. This past Monday, whatever. But
don't worry, Orlando. Your time will come. We will talk about it. But
yeah, exactly. But for me, it's just like I love when the fans are all like amped up, crazy. I just can't wait for All Out. I can't wait for Rampage in Chicago. It's just going to be a fun.
And of course, Grand Slam in a month's time as well at Arthur Ashe Stadium as well. But again, we're drifting into AEW territory. We are crossing over far too much. This is possible. hang on. Let's
oh my God.
Yeah, there you go.
No, don't do that.
WWE content here, but WWE are releasing, their biggest names, which at the start of the year we would have said, nah, they'd never let these people go.
Yeah.
And that's Flair gone, that's The Fiend gone, that's Daniel Bryan gone, and I guess the last name, the most undisputed of them all, Adam Cole, baby, is about to walk out now, and without a contract, that means no 90-day compete. He's all but free to walk out and venture out, unless WWE are going to get him a new contract. At the moment, according to Cultaholic, through PW Unlimited, said that WWE have offered him multiple contracts and he's turned them down. He says current WWE deal is expired the weekend of SummerSlam, so that's 3 weeks from now. And his final appearance will be NXT TakeOver 36. That's the 22nd of August. I mean, he's 32 years old. He's still got plenty of decent matches in him, and I think we've discussed in this podcast far too many times now that it's almost a running joke that Adam Cole is lacking in booking, not getting the run of the pencil, because let's face it, he's got the potential to be up in the main roster and challenging for the main title, or even taking the Undisputed Era up to the main roster. And the fact they have just not pulled the trigger, sort of have themselves to blame. James, what's your take on it?
I mean, I think they look at him as being just the indie guy. He doesn't have the name pull that Daniel Bryan has or John Cena. They see him as the shine of the indie scene. And to be honest with you, I'd say let him go. And if he goes, I'd love to see him at Ring of Honor in New Japan. I don't know if he fits in AEW per se, but man, he would sell tickets for Ring of Honor and for New Japan, bringing him back, baby.
I mean, like, you just got to look at every War Games match that Adam Cole has taken part in and show the fact that he has got it in absolute spades. And yes, you're absolutely right. Ring of Honor coming back on the scene, and New Japan would be happily take back Adam Cole. I'm sure they'll take back Bryan Danielson. But the fact that, they had such a commodity with the Undisputed Era, and they had it in their grasp for years and years, and just the bomb exploded. Daniel, do you think the Undisputed Era, and I'm going to use this as an unpopular opinion, the biggest drop ball in tag team history or faction history?
Ooh.
No.
I mean, you definitely dropped the ball on the Nexus, for one.
Mm.
I don't know if that's bigger. I mean, Undisputed Era is so solid, and they achieved so much as individuals too, not just as with one person at the helm. But I mean, I don't know about the biggest drop ball, but it was right there in front of them, and they didn't pull the trigger because you have, unfortunately, in the eyes of Vince McMahon, a shorter superstar in Adam Cole. And I hate to say that because he's so talented and so amazing. Adam Cole's no dummy.
Yeah.
He's good friends with people that have made some of the smartest moves in wrestling in the last 3 to 4 years. So you can't think that those people are not in his ears.
Yeah.
I do also want to say real quickly, since you brought up the video game recently, in the same week that you announced that Ric Flair and Bray Wyatt are gone and maybe Adam Cole's leaving, but you should totally purchase WWE 2K22, especially coming off of what happened in the last game.
I don't know about you, Daniel. Like WWE, buying WWE games annually is like buying FIFA games. You know, I'm just gonna buy it every year. I don't care.
I'm gonna
buy it. Give me all the DLC, just all of it, even if it is Dunk the Clown doing the Legends mode. Just give me it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because people always say to me, "It's like, oh, you're going to pay $60 for a video game." I'm like, "Oh, you have no idea how much money I'm going to spend on this game." It's like that's just a starting point.
60 is a drop in the hat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Try dropping $100 in 2K20.
expansion pack.
20th anniversary SmackDown. Yeah, that'll totally justify itself.
Yeah. Well, for me, here's what I think. We don't know what Adam Cole's thinking, honestly. Like, here's the thing. I mean, he could be happy like what he did in WWE and NXT. Like, he had a good 4-year run.
Yeah.
He worked with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, like 2 of his favorites, probably. They were his favorites. He talks about Shawn Michaels almost every time he has the chance. So he could be like, I could leave now because they're probably going to just ruin me because after what he has seen in the past 2-3 years with call-ups, you know, he's already debuted at the Royal Rumble. He already had a match at one of the big pay-per-views for WWE. So he's just like, I'm set. Let me just now leave, you know, make my money elsewhere and just be happy, you know? I mean, that maybe that's what he could think. Or maybe he just like, he wants to maybe sweeten the deal so that everybody, like, so that there's a leverage that he could do. Because technically, like how everybody's saying, he is a big star in NXT.
Yeah.
And they don't make a lot of money in NXT, so
I don't know. There's so many offers on the table. Omega versus Adam Cole, though, does have a great ring to it, though, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Greatest catchphrase in wrestling, arguably. It's really,
Yeah, but remember, his contract ends on the 20th. If he decides to walk away on the 22nd, he could easily debut in All Out.
Yeah, of course he can.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see.
I'm pretty sure he can debut on Rampage. You know, the door is wide open, and who's to say he's not going to pull a Luger and the contract negotiations haven't already taken place? So, you know,
he's going to pull a Rick Rude. He's going to be in one live and the other one pre-taped already.
2 places at once.
We had
a couple of weeks ago. They're not going to pull that stunt again.
He'll be on NXT and AEW Dark. It'll be amazing.
The Wednesday Night War. He's blown everyone's minds. Anyway, let's move away from the releases because I'm sure we'll be talking about them for weeks and months to come for sure. Let's dive into programming. Monday Night Raw in Chicago, Illinois. Oh,
Anyway, back to the releases. So
they had it coming, didn't they? They really had it coming. Of all the times with CM Punk letting the Fiend go, fans were gonna rain all over the program.
Yeah. Oops, we're in Chicago.
Yeah. But you could kind of tell, like, if you listen throughout the whole show, like, you couldn't really hear the crowd too much. You, like, kind of heard, like, almost in the background. And it's just like, that's weird because I know Chicago's very vocal. So I think like because they learned so much probably from the Thunderdome that they could probably kind of like turn down the volume of the audience unless it works in their favor, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, of all the weeks they could have done with being in the Thunderdome and hiding undercover would have been this week to keep the crowds away from voicing their opinion. Certainly, Charlotte Flair got the main lash of Becky Lynch. But even this week, reports now coming out that Becky Lynch is now not penciled in for 3 weeks' time in Vegas. So that is an interesting development. Obviously, she has teased for weeks that her return is imminent, and you know she's looking on Instagram. She's in good shape.
Yeah.
Where
do you pull the trigger? If not SummerSlam, when?
well, they're saying that they're trying to save her for the draft because there's reports that they want to put her on SmackDown. Which, if they decide to put SmackDown, the SmackDown Women's Division wins because Raw's Women's Division is in the toilet. I'm sorry, you know. I love Nikki Cross. I'm not gonna say the other name. It's just like a lot of fans are not really liking her superhero, almost superhero kind of gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's tired of Charlotte Flair. Everybody doesn't know how to make with Rhea Ripley, you know, and there's nobody else, you know. Like, where's Asuka? Asuka hasn't been on the show for weeks now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Naomi supposedly she got traded to SmackDown, but she hasn't debuted on SmackDown yet. I'm hoping that they put her in the storyline with Roman Reigns and the family because she is married to the within the family with Jimmy Uso, which will make sense, you know. But I just I honestly I think they want to just save her for best for last because they know for a fact after SummerSlam they're gonna have a decline. So probably they want to save Becky for probably around October time so that way they can boost up the women's division again. That's my
Not so
opinion.
fast. I have a feeling she's going to appear at the go home for Survivor Series. They're going to hold her off until November.
Whoa.
I'm going to ask you to expand that, Mr. Falcon, because obviously they are penciling in Survivor Series as a massive Dwayne event in respect of his 25 years since his debut. So would it make sense to combine the two and have her show up as well?
I think so because I think the Rock and Dwayne Johnson and whatever he's going by nowadays. I mean, for me, he's not part of WWE anymore. You know, he'll show up. I don't even know if we don't even know if he's going to wrestle at this point. You know, right now it's just we know that there's the possibility between him and Roman Reigns, but you know, when you're talking about a watered down product like the women's division in WWE, absolutely. Premiere her on Monday or Friday on the go home and then have her be a surprise entrant for the women's Survivor Series and have her just go to town. I mean, what better way to spank Charlotte or to put whoever in SmackDown's place, you know, and Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair than have the man come in.
Yeah, it's a fair argument you make there, James. That's certainly for sure. But I guess Orlando and Dan, you've heard this before. Why can't every girl be like Alexa Bliss, as Bowling for Soup saying recently? Alexa, she has my heart. And obviously with the news that The Fiend has gone and she will never be reunited with her pappy, I guess. What do you do with her? I mean, like, yes, what we saw with Lily this week, sitting up by herself, that was Undertaker tips his hat to her. But, you know, it's what do you do with her? Do drop an Eva Marie is getting boring kind of quick, but without a partner which obviously built the whole lore of the playground beforehand. How do you write this one?
I think that's a good
okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing, because I have a feeling somebody has to play Lily. Like, they have to bring on a girl to play Lily. Now, there is rumors that Kaylee Ray is probably debuting on the main roster, and she's going to play Lily. I wouldn't want that, but I mean, if she agrees to it, I mean, that's her choice. I mean, that would be fun to see like a Alexa Bliss and a Kaylee Ray type of team up, you know, in my opinion. Because that's the only way that they're going by this. Because it has to be Eva and Piper versus Alexa and Lily, and then Lily has to come to life. So
I think we're giving them way too much credit here for long-term booking, and as much as I hate to say it, and I hate that everything comes back to AEW, but if something happens in AEW, you do go, okay, well, there's probably like a 4 to 6 week to 8 week to 5 year plan going on for this storyline. There is no plan for WWE, and if there is, it's gonna change immediately.
Of course.
And especially with something like this, like there's no way for me to think that there's this long-term really like thought out plan for Alexa Bliss, because there's not. And like we're just gonna do what we can with that. And I don't know. It's so hard to speculate on some of this stuff because it's just gonna change once we think we know we're going in a certain direction.
I think certainly before this weekend, and certainly we're having the Bray Wyatt still a part of the company and still on the books. I think that was the long-term booking. We all thought, right, we're watching the playground play out, but we were just waiting for that moment for the Fiend to start to be teased and brought back again, as we saw for building up to WrestleMania. Is that it is what now that he's gone and now that there's that plot device is gone from that narrative is How do you write yourself out of that corner? And obviously, Doudrop and Eva Marie. Doudrop has really Piper Niven.
Piper. Her name is Piper.
Piper Niven.
No. Thank you. Yes. I'm not going to say that damn name, okay?
She did manage to say the word Scotland. Like, you could hear her say it. Just barely, but you could hear her say it last night.
Well, it's because Eva keeps interrupting her. That's
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, please. I just
I mean, yeah. Well, where else do we go? So, where do we move from here? We can either talk about Goldberg and his son being absolutely pumped, or
that's
we talk about Shanky against Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. No, I just want to know what the son has been drinking, because that's like a 6-year difference. He looks like an adult now.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that's Goldberg's son? I was like, what the hell?
I have evidence. You need to watch the WWE 24 of Goldberg just before he came back to Royal Rumble in January, and you see the training that his son is putting in, like his dad used to do, in his NFL days. He is insanely jacked. Dominic versus Mr. Goldberg Jr. Let's have it.
I kind of thought it was Hook versus Goldberg's Jr.
Oh, that would be an amazing match.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
But obviously now the ink has dried, and we are getting Bobby Lashley against Bill Goldberg at SummerSlam for the WWE title. Of course, we talk about the Fiends. The last time really his main challenge for a title was it was January. My mistake. It was Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble, of course. I mean, obviously this is match 2 of his 2-match contract, but I guess we'll talk between now and obviously the night as to whether they will have the absolute balls to put the title on him. But
no, don't put that in the universe. How dare you? No,
it won't last more than 3 weeks if they do. Goldberg's not getting any kind of major one pay-per-view at the moment.
I want Big E to cash in on Goldberg, so at least they'll have his little match with Goldberg, and then done.
Yes, that is. I will get behind that booking 100%. Absolutely,
I can concur that.
Yes.
The thing is, from going back to January and of course his match against Drew McIntyre, Goldberg didn't look too bad. It wasn't a clusterfuck as we saw against the Fiend, and he put on a decent performance. So if we can have another one of those matches where we can show Bobby Lashley and MVP's insane strength of character and of ability, and Goldberg can pull the moves, do a jackhammer and a spear, it shouldn't be crap.
I think we're looking at all the wrong details here, and I think that my other 2 guys, JFB and Orlando, will certainly appreciate this. It is bald versus bald for the WWE Championship. How many times in history has that happened? No matter what, somebody bald is walking away a champion.
Somebody with
No, I
a
have to
is
go
gonna
back.
be the
I
champ.
think there had to be somebody that was bald. Hold on, I have to think about that. Hold on.
Yeah, but you have to think about it, right? How many times has bald versus bald happened for the WWE Championship? Not the undisputed, not anything. The actual gold.
See, yeah. For me, the only other exception that I'll accept this match is Lashley does a dominating performance, like how he did with Kofi, and dominates Goldberg. Because that's the only other way that people will accept this type of match. Because if they give Goldberg some offense, then everybody's just going to be cringing. Everybody's not going to enjoy it, And it's also depending on where they put it in the card. If you put it as the first match, you're going to really depress everybody if Goldberg wins.
This match cannot last more than 6 minutes. And that's 4 minutes too long.
You're talking about entrances and everything, like, and announcements, right?
Yeah,
6 minutes in total.
Bear in mind, it'll be 70,000 at the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. I think this might even go main event. I think they'll either do what they've been doing recently and put Roman Reigns first against John Cena. Will come on Saturday.
Oh, no. That's going to be the main event. Roman Reigns versus John Cena. That's a bigger match.
They are hyping the hell out of that John Cena, the summer of Cena. And that's going to be the last. That's going to be the main event right there.
But then imagine start the show having what happens if the 7-year-old lose their minds? 70,000 people reigniting the John Cena sucks chant. Let's have it.
Oh no, it's probably coming. Watch. I can feel it. Like he was even shocked himself. Did you see like the video that he posted? Like the way he posted is like it's so weird that you're all are cheering for me. It's just like where am I?
I will say, and I think this is something that we have to consider. Like this is WrestleMania for WWE this year.
Yeah.
So they are going to treat SummerSlam just like WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So
now, mind you,
how do we look at the card in terms of how we would look at a one-night WrestleMania for 2021?
Right, there are already 4 big matches right now. You can already tell that the SmackDown Women's Championship is already going to be set by this Friday. They already set the Raw Women's Championship. They already set the WWE and Universal Championship. Now it's just the middle card. I already see some pieces already being made. I know it's going to probably be AJ and Omos versus Riddle and Randy Orton. I think they're saving Randy Orton until SummerSlam so that he gets his return and then he could do his RKO. What else? I don't know what other matches they could fill, but I mean those are 5 matches already right there.
Yeah, you got the Sheamus versus Damian Priest. I think they're setting that up.
I'm gonna feel so bad if they put that on the pre-show. Ugh.
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to slip in, just as we're still talking about Monday Night Raw, a tweet from the baddest woman on the planet, or as we've known to come to her, somebody who cannot take a pin for the main event at WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey, talking about Bray Wyatt, sort of tying it back quickly. Her tweet says this: I've seen some fans chanting #We want Wyatt last night, chanting we want beach balls over Bray Wyatt performing. If the WWE treated him like he was expendable, it was because you ungrateful idiots did first. I mean, Daniel's face says it all, really. I mean, she hasn't wrestled in 2 and a bit years. Wyndham Rotunda comes from a family of wrestlers.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we kind of did hate Bray Wyatt at points during his career because he didn't have the run of the pencil. But do you know what he did? He grew up match after match. He continued to work with it, and he got his stripes. And he evolved, and he became the Fiend, and became arguably the best thing about not only the pandemic era, but it's a character we'll not stop talking about for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, no, I get her point because it's just like how fans kind of change the narrative when it comes to wrestlers. It's just like, because I think what's her hate is just like, oh, you love him so much now, but you booed him when he was having his matches. It's like, it's not about the match. It's not about the wrestler. It's about the match and the story that they're doing. That's why a lot of people are booing about that.
That's why a lot of people booed her towards the main event. Obviously, she was booked as the heel, kind of. But
no, they forced her to be the heel. That was the thing. Because the directory that WWE wanted to take was Ronda versus Charlotte. But because of Becky,
totally disagree.
You don't think they were gonna just only go for a one-on-one match?
No, the crowd turned her heel. The WWE universe turned her heel, and she didn't like it. And that's why Ronda's always 2 steps behind when it comes to wrestling, unfortunately. And this was her attempt to go, I tried to look, I just garnered some heat. But why? Why did you do that? It seems awkward. I don't like it.
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, until she's back in the company, we can't really comment on her.
No, she's coming back. Watch. She has to have that one-on-one. She has to have that one-on-one match with Becky. That she has to come back. I think, like, if they're smart, since WrestleMania is going to be in Texas, for 100,000 seats, they have to fill that up with one big match, which will be Becky versus Ronda.
No, Dwayne. Moving on. It will be Dwayne.
I said one of. I didn't say like the name. I said one of. We can
say it today in August 2021, and we'll be talking about it in March 2022. It'll be Dwayne. Let's talk about Drew against Jinder, because my word, what a joke. I mean, just the start of the year, Drew was WWE champion. I'd cheer for my Scottish champion, our British WWE champion, and then. Oh no, they're making toys out of broken motorcycles and swords that don't belong. I mean, I think you hate storytelling sometimes.
He almost murdered somebody. Let's just say it how it is. He almost tried to murder a wrestler in the ring where people were cheering for that.
Yeah.
How dare you all? How dare you wanting murder to happen on the ring?
Anyway, I mean, how dare you hate strong style? How dare you want the serious chops?
To be fair, like though, in kayfabe, he tried to kill someone, and he has a huge penis. That's what they want you to think.
Which that's what it explains about the whole Zoom right there.
He has a huge penis.
I mean, I commented about that, and also like they zoom in on his dick and his trunk. So I mean,
let's not stop talking about penises. Let's talk about SmackDown. Let's keep it going, guys. Let's try and keep this professional Friday Night SmackDown started with the big story from the Blue Brand. Of course, it is Roman Reigns against Finn Balor, which didn't happen. Could have happened. He refused to sign the contract, and then Baron Corbin nearly signed it, and then John Cena still signed it. I mean,
you see, John Cena come back. See, all of you wanted him to come back, and look what happened. He went ahead and just buried Finn Balor. You see, he's still the same. He's right. Roman Reigns is right. It's almost a missionary position. How dare he? How dare he?
I don't think they buried Finn.
No. I know. I just like
Finn's going to be long term, and it might actually be a breath of fresh air to actually see WWE taking a storyline longer than 3 weeks before they dump it in the trash, light it on fire, and throw it out in the sea. They have the chance now to build up Finn Balor. Now, is the stepping stone really Baron Corbin? Absolutely, because that's the best thing that's happening right now on SmackDown is broke-ass Breaking Bad Baron Corbin. That man is literally one rocket shot of him a tank to just cooking meth in a RV and doing it as a storyline. That man's Breaking Bad.
He's just relatable. Sad Baron Corbin is us post-pandemic coming back out again like I've got no money. What do I do with myself?
That's the best Baron Corbin's been since NXT, and I was never a huge Corbin fan.
Not even that. Best Baron Corbin's ever been, full stop. I mean, let's face it, it's just even when you go back to the last time John Cena and Baron Corbin crossed swords in 2017, obviously the failed cash-in. Hello, Jinder Mahal.
John Cena again. He brought it up. He put it on Twitter. He brought it up that John Cena cost him again a title shot. See. I'm sorry.
Poor Baron.
It was just a line between Baron Corbin and John Cena, and John Cena goes, "You just need a Attitude adjustment. Bang. There's your
Uh-huh.
move. There's your
But you
end.
know what? Like, look, this is like right here, like for me, kind of jokingly, but it's kind of almost like being invested into it, which that's what we want. That's what we want WWE to be. Like, look, they're trying to do something right there, which a lot of people didn't really like the segment, but they understood how they're going to get to John Cena versus Roman because Roman's ducking him. So, I mean, like, we get it. But, like, Finn Balor's probably going to have his reasons, be like, oh, you didn't stop him or blah, 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 like, he'll have his reasons why he'll get a title shot. And then Baron Corbin, if he decides to turn face and face Roman, which is that's going to be weird to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I do find it interesting though. Like if we do Finn versus Roman, he's not going to go at this alone. So who's going to be in Finn's posse? So he's going to need a posse.
oh, you know what? If they save this for October, see, look, this is what I'm hoping for. This is what I hope. I am hoping that Finn recruits AJ and Adam Cole.
Never.
Ooh.
There's no way that'll happen.
No. But like,
It
no,
would be
but
awesome.
they could. No. But I think that they could. They could do it. Maybe like if like Triple H probably tells them, and then Vince McMahon tells Adam Cole, just stay for a little bit. We're trying to work something out. We're gonna have you and AJ Styles and Finn Balor teaming up together, and you can.
Hey, bro,
form, like,
remember the OC? It's going to be better than that.
Do you remember that faction like in Japan that we can't talk about because the other side are using it?
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll come back to that in just a little bit as well. Certainly, there's a story there, but I think the thing is with Finn Balor involved in this story is that I'd happily have taken a triple threat between these three because obviously all three can go, and Finn could have taken the pin and that wouldn't have buried him. But certainly the intrigue is here, and Daniel, I'll put this to you first: is that we now know that John Cena's booked for the 10th of September at Madison Square Garden. What does he do between the 21st of August and 10th of September? Does he hold on to the title? Does he stay in the company? Does he go off and shoot and film? What does he do?
Well, say he does have a title, for example. Like, who are they really going to want to put over?
Biggie.
I mean, is this the way that you get the belt onto Edge for like half a minute?
Biggie.
You think it's Big E?
He sounds
I
good.
mean,
No, because
Big E
I feel like
cashes in on John Cena. That's pretty.
no
balls.
for me.
That's the torch moment.
No, I feel like Biggie is going to go back to Raw, and I think his feud is going to be with Bobby Lashley. Somebody else they have to build on SmackDown. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, look, they're still saying that Edge may still get another title shot. They're saying that Baron Corbin may get a shot. They're thinking about changing Seth Rollins back to babyface so he can face Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I will say, in true WWE fashion, like that moment when Edge finally came out for the Royal Rumble, and they remind you of it like 25 times before the Raw the next night was over, that they are going to do this. I think that they want that. They want that one moment, and I think WWE is always building for those single moments, even if they're going to take the title off him the very next night. Yeah. I think that Edge will have a title. I don't know if that's how you get there, but I think it's coming before the year's over.
Yeah, Big E needs to be on Raw because you have to have somebody that's as physically opposing to Bobby Lashley as possible. And there's just, I mean, nothing against Drew McIntyre, but Big E is just, he's big. I mean, he's a hulking babyface. And that monster heel on Raw with Bobby Lashley, that's what you need. You need Big E on Raw, and then you need Edge. You have the little 5-way dance, just keep passing the belt off every couple of weeks.
Here's a bit of fantasy booking for you, and I was just lining up the dates here. So obviously the idea of Edge having one more shot, and obviously John Cena was to end the title run of the Tribal Chief. September 2021 would be 15 years since Unforgiven 2006.
Ooh.
When the TLC match, one of the best title matches in Canada, I believe, no less. And obviously, Extreme Rules is only a fortnight after that. That could. I mean, it's WWE, they won't, but could.
It's right there.
It's right there.
Like how Daniel said, we're giving WWE too much credit. So I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, but look, at least we're talking about SmackDown, and there are like different ways that they could go by it. I mean, Raw, like nothing's happening on Raw, unfortunately. So
I mean, Bobby Lashley was accidentally long-term booked to be the champion.
Yeah.
They didn't do it on purpose, but they're like, oh, we did some. Yeah, we meant to do that at belt, you know. So like, and there are one or two long-term plans there. I'll give you credit where credit's due.
Yeah. I mean, I like Lashley as champ. I
love Lashley as champ.
Oh yeah, I love him as champ. I like Big E a little bit better though, a little bit more, just a smidge.
Oh no, the story is there. No, the story is there. Like, you know, with Big E getting his vengeance on Lashley because of what he did to Kofi, like it's right there. You know, the story is right there.
Yeah,
for sure.
The fruit's ripe on the tree. It's ready for picking.
You know, and like, you know, something they could always do like a back and forth. They could always like have Big E have a run with the title, like have it for like 2-3 months, and then Lashley gets it back, and then he faces Roman, and then like you'll have another feud again with Big E again or Kofi if they ever want to do that. You know,
the options are there. Of course,
yeah,
there is.
The options are there. But for me, I want Keith Lee to dethrone Roman Reigns because I have a feeling that Vince still sees something in Keith Lee, but I don't think because of what happened to him this year. Hopefully, he explains what happened to him. I think like it's just like I think they were trying to have him win something. Like you know, I don't like. I feel like I see it that he'll probably be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns.
Indeed, the doors are certainly open. Don't you ever forget about Keith. But the other main headline from Friday Night SmackDown. Wait, what's that? What's that? It's boss time. Sasha Banks is back, and she turned heel on the same night. I mean, it's certainly the ESPYs did kind of spoil it a teeny weeny bit. We shouldn't have seen her there, but otherwise, Sasha Banks is back. She's turned heel, and we're getting a rematch between Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. What do we think of this?
I'm all for
I like
Sasha.
it. You're what?
I'm all for Sasha. She's from Boston, baby. She's Boston bred. She's Boston born. The
and I think
is going to root for Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I think for me, I think Sasha works better as a heel. Honestly,
yeah,
like she's so much better as a heel. Like she's like she could get ruthless. She could probably like be like very cutthroat. Like I like when Sasha is a heel. So just to see main roster Sasha being a heel, that's going to be very interesting. It's just wondering like. It seemed like what their direction is going is just like, look at everything that you got because of me. I made you, you know, and I can easily break you. You had one lucky night. I'm going to beat you again. Like literally right there. The story is written right there.
Yep.
Just like the t-shirt says on our shop bucklebombentertainment.com, be that bitch. And she is very fucking good at that. He is fantastically good.
Daniel, I'm still waiting for my t-shirt. Even though I've been doing these podcasts now, I'm still waiting for you to ship it over. Thank you.
It's coming right at you. I got you this week. Send me your address.
I'll hold you to that. You said that on record. But I think what's great about Sasha Banks, and we certainly saw this over WrestleMania weekend, is that she knows how to put people over. Yeah. Certainly after the match against Bianca, you know, the smile that she was trying to hide was very terrible because you know, she knew she put on one hell of a match and went through a hell of a beating to give Bianca that moment and that spotlight on night one. And, you know, she thoroughly deserved it. And obviously now that Bayley's unfortunately injured is that Sasha has to be the consistent heel. And I think there is still arguably some way to go between Sasha and Bianca that could go on for a run. Yes, I know that, you know, SmackDown has just got back Selena Vega. They've still got Carmella. That they can introduce into the world and switch it around. But, you know, they have doors and time that they can run between these two. And to be honest, from what we've already seen between the two of them, I think I'm happy seeing it.
This is also a very good indication of what WWE can do when they do proper long-term booking. And so you've got Sasha versus Bailey that happened last year. The light at the end of my tunnel in the pandemic era, watching the WWE, was that entire storyline. And so when Bailey goes away, unfortunately, get better soon, Bailey. We love you. You have Sasha come right back in and fit in that fits. There's nothing better for Bianca at this point. So I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like they could easily like stretch it out because now that they have Toni Storm, Liv Morgan is getting a good reaction. Naomi's supposed to be debuting soon on SmackDown. They could, if they decide to put the belt on Sasha, she has already 3 feuds before they decide to do Bianca again. You know, so
I mean, I think Sasha's an incredible heel. I'm not sold on Carmella. I'm definitely not sold on Zelina Vega. You know, I mean, they're good personalities and they play that heel character, but can they do the ring work that Sasha does? And no way can they even touch Sasha Banks.
well, no. Carmella could, you know, Zelina I'm sorry.
I mean, she has before. Go back, Money in the Bank 2019.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Seeing Carmella managed to get a win over Asuka, not once but twice, and have James Ellsworth. We won't mention him, but
but also like Zelina, she unfortunately we haven't really seen her wrestle. I mean, I've seen her stuff like in TNA and like in the Indies and stuff, but I mean like we haven't really seen it in WWE. Of course, you know she got fired. Now she got rehired. Now she's back. So you know what? I would like maybe Carmella and Zelina to be a tag team. You know, they need tag team for the women. So I think that would be good for, you know, for Tamina and Natty. Let's get well soon, Natty. I know that she had successful surgery. So awesome. She'd be out for a few weeks. So they're not going to strip the titles. So
do you think Vince has given an element of penance to Zelina Vega? Obviously with the damage she did with over on Twitch, that they're going to keep her lying low for a while as by form of punishing her?
Of course. It's WWE. They're petty. They're just like, look. You have to lose for a few months, but we'll get you back. Don't worry. I bet you Vince probably told her that. But you know what? Look, she had a main event match. Like, I don't think she's ever had a main event match ever in her career. And it's probably better than like, you know, I'm sorry to say it's a lot better than AEW because what are they doing with their women's division in AEW? At least in WWE, their women's division is kind of stacked, and they are kind of trying to use all the women. So,
isn't it just we sort of you can compare and contrast between the two? And whilst the women's division is working on the WWE side, the men's side is complete opposite. And you know, it's almost like you can try and counteract between the two and combine, and that's the perfect promotion. And you know, it's such a shame that Tony Khan. As much as we've talked a lot of AEW this week. If
oh no, there's going to be more. I bet you.
Wrestling, he'd have it cracked, and it's a shame that you know it's yet to develop. But you know, WWE do have these stars and do have these names within the mix that we can still talk about and speculate for sure. That is one thing. One other story that came out of SmackDown and one match has certainly been penciled in for some time. So Seth Rollins versus Edge. We sort of talked a little bit earlier, sort of quickly touch upon this because these two can go. Certainly, it's an intriguing match. I've been waiting for 6-7 years for this sort of vengeance between the two since Seth Rollins damaged Edge back in the Shield days. I mean, could this even be a match of the night, James?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That can be the match that steals the show for sure.
Ooh, I mean, that's a bold statement. Okay,
I'm just saying, man.
It's a good sleeper.
Yeah, it's a great.
It could be a sleeper.
Yeah. Because I mean, you have Edge who, you know, is got that chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. I've been gone for 5-6 years. You know, I've had my neck problems. You know, it's a good way to rejuvenate and reinvigorate Seth Rollins again and get him back kind of on that main stage again because he's kind of floundered in the the middle regions of WWE. It's a good chance to boost him back up, and I think it could be it could go down literally as match of the year if it's done right yeah, it could easily be match of the year.
I recently watched back Seth Rollins against Randy Orton from the early part of WrestleMania 30, when obviously before Heist of the Century stole the show. Great match. The way he turned the stomp into the RKO. I mean, at a moment like that where you had Seth Rollins working against a veteran guy, is that they can produce magic, and I think certainly with keep reminding ourselves, 70,000 people in Vegas on a Saturday night, they could really get behind this, and if it could springboard to either, if not both of them, turning face and really being a strong title contender, whoever may hold the belts post SummerSlam, and who's not to say even the Intercontinental title thrown into that image as well, because both are very well versed into holding that strap, and could stay in the upper echelons of the upper mid card. So it's doable. It is doable and exciting to think. But obviously we're still 3 weeks out from the SummerSlam, and we'll be talking about that show for days and weeks to come. My final point as we wrap this up, I want to talk quickly about NXT, the love her or lose her match. We love it just to see it. Johnny Gargano facing it. The result by the time this does go to air. But the thing is with NXT building to TakeOver 36, we've got Samoa Joe coming back. Obviously, Adam Cole could have his final match in the company. Is that how can you follow up such a big WrestleMania-esque show with NXT having TakeOver the night after? Is it an impossible task to follow up, or do you think it's NXT being truly NXT?
I think it's NXT being NXT, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. First takeover with like a ton of fans. Are you kidding me? Shit's gonna be wild.
Yeah, it's gonna be insane.
So excited.
And then also they're now deciding to have them do it after SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Usually it's before the big pay-per-view. So now WWE is just like, okay, we're gonna give you maybe every now and then Sundays, so you can prove yourself. Go ahead, have at it. So.
Is it backhanded though because of how they've treated Karrion Kross recently?
This is it, and I think obviously we discussed last week and the week before how poorly he was booked on Monday Night Raw, but certainly go back and look at other NXT debuts on the main roster, and it's certainly not a once in a blue moon thing. It certainly happened to a lot of people before. Hello Ricochet, hello Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa when they were called up randomly in 2018.
Hello Walter.
Yeah,
leave Walter alone. Leave Walter alone.
Walter,
I will kick you from this stream if you disrespect my Walter.
I am right there on the page, right there with you.
Look, I'm excited for Walter versus Ilya.
I love your cousin, trust me.
But no, I'm excited for that match though, because like to have Walter versus Ilya 2, and it's going to be a takeover. Oh my god!
By the way, for anyone that didn't watch that match last year because you were like NXT UK, blah blah blah. First of all, go watch NXT UK. Second of all, go watch that match. It's amazing.
And then come back and apologize. Cheers.
Yeah, and then tell me you're sorry in the comments below.
Listen, everybody has talked about that match last year. Like that match was like the talk of like the town. So
it was an amazing match. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the NXT UK and watch that match, and I watch it every week now. Every week I watch it.
Oh no, they have great wrestlers there. I mean, honestly, they have great wrestlers. It's just unfortunately because it's in the Peacock now. Yeah. And it's just
can't disrespect the Peacock because I have a feeling Peacock is going to be the new home for WWE.
No, it already is, because like right now they're planning to do it all over Europe, so it's gonna have more eyeballs. So we'll see.
I think NBC Comcast buys NBC Universal Comcast, General Electric, and the Avengers buys WWE. I think it happens before the end of the year.
We're looking forward to that, said nobody.
I mean, we've already talked an hour just on the content alone, but let's spend another 5 or 10 minutes talking about money here and economics. Of course, I think it was Orlando you shared to us in our chat earlier. WWE are worth $6 billion.
$6 billion. As of August, As of August 2021, they're now at $6 billion. They made profit.
$6 billion, and they want to make
Yeah,
budget cuts. You know, it's
yeah, yeah.
Well,
astronomically
here's the
insane.
thing. I'll give it to you guys from a business standpoint. When you have a massive amount of overhead, and in the terms of WWE, it's they have a production company, they have the network, they got rid of that, send it to NBC. NBC is running with it. That's an expenditure that they don't have to deal with, and now you're looking at guys who don't have the casual fans' names on their lips. I mean, I use my wife as an example. My wife does not watch wrestling, so she wouldn't know Tommy N from from Walter, from anybody, but she knows who John Cena is. She knows who The Rock is. She knows who Hulk Hogan is. Those are names, and that's the reason why John Cena is back. That's the reason why Goldberg is back. Yeah, you're not going to pay as much for Goldberg because he's not going to be there that often. He's not wrestling on a full-time contract. But when you start paring down, not only that, but your corporate as well, they're letting go a lot of people in corporate office. And it only means one thing. If you look at their financials, they are flush right now, and they are primed to be bought because it inflates the shareholders' stock. I mean, if I'm a shareholder and if, God forbid, NBC buys them, that's going to bump my stock up. That shareholder stock is going to go through the roof.
Is Nick Khan the greatest heel of them all?
Yes.
Yeah. But also, like, if you listen to their second quarter,
People power.
Yeah,
Jesus.
but if you listen to their second quarter, they talk about Peacock a lot because they said like Peacock has 56 million subscribers. That's more than what the WWE network has ever had. They even talk about how many amounts of hours people watch. Like, because a lot of fans probably, if they have Peacock or they have a friend that has Peacock, they probably watch a lot of the wrestling content. So that's probably a big win for NBC Universal, but also a win for WWE because it's just like, oh, people are watching our content. So,
Because you
so
look at it this way, they don't have the NFL, except for I think the Thursday night game or whatever night game that they're going to do. They don't have that. They don't have hockey anymore. They don't have basketball. They don't have. They don't. They have soccer, but I think they're losing. I think they're going to lose soccer in the next couple of years too with the Premier League.
Yeah. They have the Olympics, but the Olympics is every 4 years. So
NBC needs content, and that's coming from my world in film and television, and it's all about content. And that's what Netflix and Hulu, and that's what all these guys want. Is they want content, and that's what WWE is. They're not a wrestling promotion. They haven't been a wrestling promotion for decades. They make movies, they make reality TV shows. Just happens to be some of it centered around wrestling. And so with that, they are a content producer. They're no different than Marvel, Warner Brothers, Disney. And with the relationship that they've had over the last 30, 40 years with NBC, Saturday Night Main Event, Wrestling Superstars, they were all on NBC. That's a huge, huge connection. I'm telling you, book it. By the end of this year, NBC buys WWE.
Well, I certainly have to give my 2 cents here, certainly from the UK perspective, is that obviously, we're hearing in the reports first and foremost that Nick Khan has more power than most of the vice president has ever seen, and so on an executive level, we've seen that with the budget cuts and certainly releases, which we spent the last hour on a bit talking about. I mean, it's so hard to say from this side of the Atlantic what will happen. Obviously, what we've seen with Peacock, and the complaints that raining on Twitter every time there's a pay-per-view live on air, and you wish you had a VPN to change back if there's a VPN to supply. VPN supply who wants to come and sponsor us. Hello, we're here.
Hello, Surfshark.
But it's as much as the US business is looking at, it's also the global brand, and it's how much of that can they change around before things get crazy. Yes, we can see them Peacock going to buy WWE. But we also said that about ESPN at one point. Yeah, certainly last year during the pandemic, when ESPN would become very interested in WWE content, we thought, okay, is Disney going to buy WWE? So they've flirted with it, and it's whether Peacock and the NBC Comcast are serious enough to do it. Who knows? And certainly in terms of content, you look at Amazon Prime. Yeah, they're still a big provider certainly over here, and Netflix and I'm trying to think of the big players sort of
Disney Plus right now, and then of course HBO Max, which is Warner Brothers. But now with the whole what is it called? AT&T selling their shares, and now Discovery, it's gonna change now. And watch, I bet you anything, since like Warner Brothers is probably looking at NBC Universal and seeing that they got a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Where is AEW?
Yeah.
It's one in their Warner Brothers channels.
Yeah. It's
So
Warner Media.
Watch, by next year, I'm hoping that they put it on HBO Max, all their pay-per-view, and they're going to actually give them more content and stuff, so that way they can build, more subscribers. That's how it works.
Yeah.
They want more subscribers, so that's why, this is the new game right now.
Showtime and boxing.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they're going to get bought
HBO
out.
at one time too. HBO and Showtime were your two biggest providers of pay-per-view boxing, and now ESPN is in the game. ESPN's got mixed martial arts. They got MMA. Right. It's all about content. At some point, somebody's got to land somewhere, because they're going to drive the price up. I think WWE is undervalued at $6 billion. I think they are worth more, if not for anything, just the library itself. I mean,
you're right.
And that's the problem with Disney, is a lot of the 70s stuff you could probably get away with, but once you start etching into that Attitude Era, they're going to have to whitewash that. There's no way they're going to go ahead and leave that untouched. I mean, it'd be insane.
Well, why do you think that they were trying to edit a lot of the Attitude stuff from? They were trying to edit a lot of the Attitude stuff for Peacock. So, look, I have a feeling. Look, probably by next year or two, at least each wrestling company is going to get bought out by a streaming service. Watch. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Ring of Honor goes to Netflix. I wouldn't be surprised if what's it called? Amazon Prime buys what's the other company? Impact, maybe. I don't know. So
yeah, because you're not going to get people watching it on AXS. That's for sure.
Exactly.
I mean, out of the four of us, who's got AXS? I don't know.
We don't have it.
Oh, yeah, sure. Daniel, son of a bitch.
We got one and only subscribe. Let's bring it all in here. I think at the end of the day, sort of WWE and certainly all wrestling, we're at a turning point in terms of not only the brands that we talk about and the content we watch, but also the way we consume that wrestling. And it's either going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years, or it'll never ever happen. And it's certainly an exciting time.
Wild, Wild West.
It certainly is. I mean, like, if you look at the AEW content, you can check all of that out on a Thursday night or Friday.
Yeah.
On Buck of Entertainment, is that there's not been a greater time to be a wrestling fan and to consume it all in. But of course, WWE is number one. We're going to wrap it up there because we've already spent an hour talking about WWE alone. Please,
back to AEW.
And stay tuned for certainly more about AEW later on in the week and more content to cover. My thanks, of course, to James from Boston, to Daniel, and to Orlando. We'll see you next week for the Chop Chop by Buck of Entertainment.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.